The Random RPGmaker Roulette! Massive pile of unknown games. Pluck one out, timer for 30 minutes, have a play, and see if we get something good. And next we're playing Waste Walkers, because I played over an hour of it, hoping it would eventually get good, alas. But then I lost all my footage because this game had a bunch of issues where it only allows you to play in full screen. So the problem with only playing in full screen, I can't tell if my recording has suddenly stopped because of some kind of weird glitch. I don't know what happened. I think it was when I was messing around with buttons trying to get the full screen to turn off. So I'm going to have a little edit of the footage I had left, and then I'm just going to make a brief summary of what I did and didn't like. It loads up in full screen, but it's really, really blurred as fuck, and there's no option to change any as far as I know. Okay, it's not said, it's a spacebar game, it's a spacebar game. Mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. Random quotes from American presidents to start the game. On a background of space, which is not a space game. Really, really slow scrolling random American president quotes. Why do they have to have that big gap between them and the next bit? It is perhaps a decade into our future, mankind's future. The economies of the world have imploded. Governments have waged war on both their neighbours and their own citizens. There has been complete collapse of society, order, interest, and morality. Horrific weapons have scarred the earth and vaporised entire cities. Those who have not yet perished have perforce scourged and struggled for survival. There's their new reality. Hordes of disfigured creatures hunt for food. Gangs of bandits rob, kill, and loot. You're but a dim flicker of light in the dark and dying world. This is the world of Waste Walkers. What was up with the pacing of that introductory cutscene? This is your story. One line, really long massive space, slowly scrolling with one line, then 1,000 lines really fast. I have to speak really fast. I didn't retain any of that. We're somehow in the future, it's a zombie survival, that's all I know. Oh cool, there's gender options. Or since it's just me, I can't hear any music at all. See, as you can see, it says not loading. I have to operate this with a keyboard because it doesn't let me, No, I didn't mean to select that. I'm trying to select that. Okay, space, enter. Ask. How do I ask? I still can barely hear anything. Okay, let's see if we're letting out this menu. And it won't let me bring up task manager to escape. Yay, hooray. Nope, I can't get out. And now the game is frozen. Fuck. A brief summary of what I did and didn't like. Okay, first off, I was a bit disappointed because actually going into this quite excited. This game is like an open world crafting zombie survival thing. And apparently it's been having like frequent updates for over 10 years and recently had a graphical upgrade update. So I was excited thinking, oh, I'll play two versions if I get to compare and everything. But no, first of all, I just personally didn't like the final version. And secondly, the first version is now no longer available anywhere, so I can't play it and compare. And then just overall, I didn't really enjoy this one, but I feel like it was mostly because of like my preferences and what I like in a game. I had a whole good section talking about what I do and don't like in an open world game. I'll try and summarise what I vaguely remember I said. I think it had the same problem of why I didn't like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet compared to Pokemon Legends Arceus. Me, I just get bored if I walk too long in the open world and there's not anything actually happening. Similar to Scarlet and Violet in that it was an open world, it was just the same amount of things you would find in a regular world, except there's a longer way to walk to get to them. I spent like the entire original 30 minutes of the Random RPGmaker recording just not seeing anything. You just kind of get dropped in the game with very minimal story, and then it's like, go find your house. I don't know how to find my house. Wandered around the whole world, didn't find anything for half an hour. I continued playing up until an hour. It took me up until an hour to like find literally anything. It's even really scattered how you find like drops for anything. It was a strange problem with the mapping where like you would frequently see like litter everywhere and items you'd think would be picked up, but no, you can only pick up items when it's either a safety deposit box, a fridge, or a car. So I would just be walking through really large, very square, large areas full of what looked like a lot of things, but none of these things were interactable. I only realised at the very end that if you use a combination of mouse and keyboard, you're able to actually mouse over things and see what's interactable. The tutorial didn't say that in any way. The tutorial only explained the full keyboard controls. And I felt that was a bit of an oversight because it was a much better and clearer experience once I actually knew there was a way to tell what's interactable. What I also found quite annoying was you can't use weapons until you find ammo for them, and it's very limited in supply. But every weapon is just named like a string of numbers. It's like these very technical gun model names that you wouldn't understand unless you knew about guns. Like, to me, all of them looked exactly the same. I couldn't tell when I picked up ammo what it was for. It was just like A something versus A something. And I have a really bad memory for numbers. I struggle even remembering a 4-digit PIN number. So I could not tell what any of these strings of like 8 numbers meant. So it meant every single time I picked up ammo, I'd have to go into my menu, go into my equipment menu and see if I could equip it, and then oh no. The game also says it encourages you to run from battles as much as possible, but because of the clunky control scheme and enemy pathfinding, it's really hard to actually run from battles. Also, when you get to them, they're not even like particularly difficult. Like I was like, okay, why is it telling me to run from battles? Because these aren't very difficult. But the thing is, it's more about when you lose HP, it's really hard to recover HP. It's hard to find HP recovery items. They only recover like 1% at a time, unless you find the rare drops of like actual medkits. So it's kind of less a game with challenging combat and more a game where you are punished for every single failure you have way too much. And that's what I mean about the game itself is not necessarily bad, it's just not my kind of thing. If you want a really hardcore, in-depth survival type game, then you'd enjoy this. If you also like games where the open world is really, really, really big, as opposed to really full of content, then you would love this. I get the idea maybe it's so big because it's supposed to be you were enjoying the survival things. For me, as somebody who didn't enjoy the survival things, I wasn't getting enjoyment out of those long stretches of exploration. And from what very little I did get of like any kind of world building or story, which is again only once at the 1 hour mark I finally stumbled into one NPC. It did seem interesting. It's like I assumed it was like a zombie survival thing. It's like, oh, it's like future mutants. There was like a telepathic mutant that controls people's minds and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then they told me, like, go to the other side of the map and find this other thing before you're allowed to fight that mutant. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to play anymore. Just fundamentally not the kind of genre of game I enjoy. Like, imagine that the thing I'm always complaining about, you didn't do things in the right order, so imagine that, but the amount of backtracking you have to do is infinitely larger across a massive map. So that's enough of my, like, superficial opinions. Here are, like, some things that genuinely were objectively bad. One, the character creation system is really unclear. You have to make a bunch of choices on like various different appearance options, but they don't show you on screen what you're choosing. You only see at the very end what your appearance options added up to, and it's like, do you want this? Yes, no, and then like, no, you have to start from the very beginning and then choose them all from the start. You can't even just backspace one. When I did finally get to the NPC dialogue, it was a bit stilted and had some strange typographical errors. It wasn't like irrecoverably bad, it was just a bit like, oh, why are you not capitalising the word I and stuff like that. Third, the game had a weird amount of lag that would increase the longer you played. It was like you would lag every time you open every time you open your menu or open a storage box to try and take something out. When I first started playing, it was only happening in storage boxes and menu outside. By the end of it, it was like a much larger lag, like every time I even opened it inside. And I think it might be like the more items you have, the more the game lags, which is a really, really bad oversight to have in a game which is entirely about running around and collecting items. Also, especially when you're trying to avoid the awkward enemy pathfinding, having lag makes it even harder. And also just generally there are quite a few little glitches. Had my first playthrough ended by like literally just getting into a battle out of nowhere. Like normally you see enemies walking around on the map and you can avoid them, that's the whole point. I got ambushed by 3 dogs that were not visible anywhere on screen. I was literally just walking through a field and then suddenly a battle and nothing hit me. From what I can tell, the dogs seem to have like spawned in invisibly or something. So yeah, my first run ended due to no fault of my own, and that really soured me on the whole experience. But to talk about the positives, it seems this game does have like a really massive amount of content. It's still a really good achievement to have a fully open world game made in RPGmaker. It frequently gets updates even today. Like, the graphical upgrade update was like a year ago. The developer is very responsive to what people want. There's loads of content. Right, you start from the game, you can choose all these different difficulty options. You can choose like seed or world seed and whatever that means. You can choose like perks and stuff that change how the survival environment works. Loads of replayability, loads of different difficulty levels. Loads of different customization options, even if the interface for them is really confusing. Apparently you can unlock even more by like entering in secret passcodes. There's loads of DLCs, extra areas, extra items, extra everything. The game is a completely reasonable, quite low price. Like, it's not overpriced DLC or anything, it's just genuinely good DLC. And it looks pretty great after the visual overhaul. Screenshots of it before the update. Seems the only difference that it used to use default RPGmaker VXA sprites, and then only the protagonist had a custom sprite and it looked weirdly out of place. So now they've updated the full game and it's entirely all these different custom sprites. It doesn't like super stand out as a unique art style or anything, but it's really great for what it's doing. It competently works with the RPGmaker DS sprite set. The only graphical error I ever noticed was one particular recolor of the dog enemies had like JPEG artifacting around the sprite, and I don't know why. That might just be in the ballpark of various strange glitches. So yeah, that's just what it boils down to. Is this seems like a competent enough game for what it is, but just what it is not a type of thing I enjoy in a game. All the massive amounts of content in the world couldn't change the fact that I just don't enjoy that content, so I wouldn't enjoy this game. And that's a darn shame. So yeah, that's my verdict. One of the ones I've enjoyed the least. I can't say it's necessarily a bad game, I just didn't get to see much of it. I'm probably going to vote this low, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily quality because, again, I didn't even get to see the quality. If you out there are watching this and you're interested in this, definitely check it out. Random additional thing I found while looking in the files of the game, there is a tabletop role-playing version of it with like loads of lore and systems that is just there in the files of the game. Nothing in the game told me this was here. I guess this came when I bought it. So, okay. And next we're playing Eternal Senia. I didn't manage to catch on the recording, but there was actually an interesting animation of all the buttons coming and flying in for the title screen. Yeah! Right off the bat, all I know about this game is it's translated from Japanese, and it's apparently got high rating. I can tell when it's translated from Japanese, that is so awkward, like, new adventure, keep on finding, end of memory. I do wonder if this is maybe an awkward thing, like in the Japanese version it was like, start in English, and then a description in Japanese of what start means, and it's just been awkwardly translated because of that. Also, the logo is weirdly hard to read. I wonder if again that was something that looked better in the Japanese font. So anyway, we have two melancholy looking lesbians on the screen. I'm just assuming it would be neat if they were, but we have two melancholy looking women who are going to be presumably the main characters. Let's play. Oh, that's interesting. We've got like a mix of default background tiles and their unique sprite style. I can't say I necessarily like that unique sprite style very much. It is very strange how tiny the head is and how huge the hair is, but at least it's unique and it's adorable in its own way. And I like the massive character portrait. It's a really cool text portrait background there with the little swirly things. But the character portrait is massive and covers half a text box. I don't know why it isn't just behind the text box like in every other game forever. Anyway, Senia says ... So this is the Tower of Eternity? Are you really here, sis? Okay, that's sisters. I feel bad for making the joke. Takes a deep breath. That's an odd way of translating it in brackets and like in present tense as opposed to not gonna nitpick, but I would personally put that as like a narrator box popping up saying, and then she took a deep breath, or in like asterisks or something. I am ready. Tower of Eternity. That's a cool graphic popping in for the area. Oh no, is this going to be like a battle on the top? That's a cool menu. That's a really cool menu. Oh, recipes. We have some kind of craftings. Okay. That's weird how the menu isn't a menu, it's a text box. It's nice that there's a Windows setting, but it's going to be like an ATB battle. I'm really bad at those as opposed to turn-based. Touch monsters to engage. Okay, that's really weird. It's like an automated battle where you don't actually click anything. I guess it's like, what's that name? Not Hide Light, something like that. There's this really old retro RPG where like every battle would take place automatically, and like the only difficulty was like the puzzle of like what order to fight every enemy to make sure you have the correct level to get to the next place. Also, now it's lit up, I can say I don't like the sprite style because the outlines are really weirdly light, and that's just really strange. Like, her hair is the only thing with a dark outline that's really odd. And she seems like she's on an entirely different like lighting plane to the graphics around her. I appreciate when games have a full custom art style, but you do run like a lot more risks when you're doing it because, yeah. No, it didn't. It didn't reflect damage at all. And it's an interesting way. It's an interesting, naturalistic way of having a tutorial, is to have a tutorial written on the ground as you walk forward. But yeah, as I was saying, it's like you run. Also, it's weird how the enemies are the default sprites. They're all terrible skeleton. Like, are you exclusively fighting dwarf skeletons? As I was saying, you run a bit of a risk when you do fully unique assets, is because like, obviously it's much more work to do fully unique assets, and of course like you run the chance of them. I might as well just keep talking while I'm doing this because there is no chance whatsoever for the battle. I mean, just like hold forward. But anyway, you run the risk of things A, not fitting very well, and B, like, once you've done all the work, if you do all the work, you find out it doesn't fit very well. Like, you've done so much work, like, you now have to redo all from start again. So it's understandable how, like, mistakes in custom assets often stay forever because there's just too much work to do now. That's why I think it's good to have a balance between, like, not necessarily doing the most basic RTP sprite pack, but like, maybe like finding another sprite pack which has a base, like editing some custom sprites into that sprite pack, as opposed to going full ambition. Especially in a situation like this where you only have the main character custom sprite and nobody else is. Such a tough enemy guarding the entry level. See, now brackets mean forts instead of like, it's good to have have actions and forts be indicated by a different typographical sense. cannot back down here. I think as opposed to saying out loud, I guess. Cool animations at least. My sword is not literally covering up her own text. Cannot just give up. I am giving it another shot. Is it supposed to be a character trait that you talk overly formal with no contract, or is it just a bad translation? Okay, what was the point of that cutscene then? I assumed it was going to be like, okay, the point of the cutscene is to lose your sword. I guess maybe we were deliberately having easy battles and then like, now we're going to have action and more challenge of some kind? I hope so. What should I do now? Anyway, I have no way forward. And there is still no challenge in the battle. It's just now you have to walk into the enemy several times in a row. Damn it, I don't like this combat system. I don't like this combat system at all. This is literally like MMO vibing. We're not playing Final Fantasy 11. Come on, man. Maybe hopefully the story will be good to make up for not having any battles at all. It's a really unintuitive map. I went for that side and then went over it. Okay, I didn't even know. That was a really unintuitive map. And like I went up, I came down, and then there's no way to enter back into where I was before. Walking cutscene, gentle waiting room. Oh, a boss battle of another sprite looks way better than us. A dragon? How am I supposed to defeat a dragon? Probably by running into it multiple times again. My attack did no damage. It did 1 damage. Here we go again. Can I run then? And what the fuck am I supposed to do, eh? And win the boss battle. You have given me no anything else except that. Oh no, none of my attacks is working. Okay, I take back the credit I gave you, it's just a bad translation game. What now? So it's just gonna be the game, we just run through and bonk into enemies over and over again until like, a cutscene happens and we can't defeat an enemy, and then we'll just defeat the enemy in the cutscene anyway. Okay. Wow! A corpse! Am I going to die here as well? No way, I don't want to die here. I don't want to die with my hair covering my words! Sis, where exactly? Okay, that's not your sister. That seems the person on the cuts on the title screen, so I will pull back my hope of maybe there being lesbians. Why are you nowhere to be found? Why did you leave me behind? There's not the time to get depressed. What's that? A sword. A 2-handed sword. I can use this sword. Sword. How did you get from the top of the screen instead of the bottom of the screen? What? I didn't expect... Okay, you've killed whoever that is. I guess that's not going to be lesbians. Darn. It's do or die time. Is that a different blonde person on the screen? We're running into you. That was weird. I ran into them several times. It didn't happen. We have no items. I guess all we can do is just hold up. I guess we can dodge whatever attacks, that's good to know at least. So there isn't one level of difficulty here, it's just going to be dodging when the enemy comes. Violet crystal armor is damage to about. Okay, I do like in theory the idea of starting the game overpowered and then losing all of your overpowered items during the first cutscene, but we didn't even feel overpowered, we just felt like every battle feels easy, no matter what. Why do we gain HP from losing our items? What? I defeated it, right? Sis, where are you? I am so scared, sis. Sob. See, now you can use asterisks and quotation marks at the same time. And no capitals. What is this? It's something just bursted into my body. Okay, are we possessed by the ghost of the other lady and are we going to be lesbians? Please give me... I know it's irrational of me to jump to that for no reason, but like, if this game had some kind of appeal like that to make up for it, I would be more interested. If we had like a nice romantic... Maybe we'll just have a nice friendship relationship. Like, I want to get some cool appeal with these two main characters that makes them want to keep going. Because Right now, we know nothing about Senia except she cries a lot and says that she misses her sister. And apparently is like really, really, really strong, but says she isn't, I guess. Also, something just bursted into my body is such an unintentionally hilarious way of phrasing it. And all these NPCs are also using defaults, right? Is Senia just supposed to be really tall compared to everybody else? Child Senia is the same size as all the other NPCs. Did she just hit a growth spurt and became the world's most titanic 7-foot woman? Mummy, Mummy! Mummy, wake up, Mummy! Oh no, it's the man so strong he can walk without walking. Stay away from me. No! A really tall lady appears. Okay, I guess I'm not lesbians because you're way, way older than us. I hope not. Don't worry, I've taken it. You do seem to be the personal title screen. Okay. Don't worry, I've taken care of the monster. I am a priest of sacred sanctum. My name is Magaletta. What is your name? I am Senia. Nia! No, I said Senia. He must have scared you bad, Nia. No, I said Senia. Don't worry, you must say that. That doesn't come off as you giving us an endearing nickname. It comes off as you just not hearing what we said. I will protect you. Like a big sister. Okay, it's gonna be a sisterly relationship. Okay, no, wait, so are we trying to find our adopted sister, or do we have an actual sister that we've lost and we also have this sister? At least we have a good establishing relationship now. I was gonna say if it was just like we're going in like, oh, we were supposed to care about our sister, I guess, that we never see, then I wouldn't care so much, but now we're getting to see incorrect grammar, no punctuation again, but we're getting to see the reasons why we care so much about our sister. Now I'm getting more invested, thank you. Hope it's going to be a good and heartwarming scene that tugs my soul and makes me cry. From today on, this will be a new home. Also, the music is quite jamming, but it doesn't seem to match necessarily what's happening at all. And yeah, every time these characters become taller, they have like a different lighter outline. Ever since then, Sis Magaletta's taken care of me like a family. It was the happiest moment in my life. It is the happiest moment of my life. That awkwardly phrased as it is, that's a really sweet sentiment. And if you wish, the happiness will continue forever. It seems to keep switching tenses mid-sentence. However, Sister went missing 3 days ago, left me behind without any message. I was all by myself, scared, insecure, and lonely. It was not until I heard a rumour saying Magaletta went to the Tower of Eternity that I finally saw a glimpse of light in the darkness. Nothing mattered to me other than getting a hold of the light, a hold on the home, a hold on the sense of English grammar. When I was back to myself, I found myself away from the church and home. Okay, look, it's like you were in a fugue state, wandering away from the church. When I was back to myself, and arrived at a cool, unique cutscene graphic. Yay! Tower of Eternity. See, that makes it sound like it should have been a title drop, but the title is not Tower of Eternity, it's Eternal Senia. I suppose we are eternal as in we are climbing the Eternal Tower? I wonder if the title was different in Japanese. I have passed out. I have past tense. What happened? Sis. No, it's not the time for this. I have to focus on searching for Magaletta. This door is locked. I like that. We're getting more started with personality. I gotta say, I didn't like the personality of the character starting. I was like, I'm so weak, I can't do anything. Oh, I'm so lonely, and I cry over the most basic battle. Oh, but I get now it's going for a contrast between like how badass and cool she actually is versus how low her confidence is. I like that a lot better than like what I thought it was gonna be like a character who is genuinely just really incompetent, and the whole point is just to cry about her a lot. Which I don't like. There are a lot of things I genuinely like. I was just like, we have a female protagonist which is really, really, really weak, and then you're supposed to want to protect her as a player and blah blah blah. See space, enter, investigate, or break objects. Again, would have been nice to have told us that before we've been using Z space and enter to progress text boxes for hours. For 10 minutes at least. Okay, that's good that it goes you straight into the menu when it tells you in the menu. But this game's been handling tutorials the best out of everything. And also, yeah, good to like enable menus slowly as it goes to unlock like that. It's good, thank you. You are the champion of tutorials so far. weird how you can walk into 3 enemies and they just don't attack you, but I guess like for difficulty purposes. What does this mean? I'm clicking on it and there is no like... Okay, that was weird, so you're not supposed to in fact enter in that direction, you're supposed to enter in this direction. What? Okay, it's a bit weird how it opens the equipment menu every time you get an equipment. Because the whole game is just going to be like going through random floors to do puzzles and then battles aren't really going to be part of it. Does make me wonder, why are we bothering with a battle system if we don't want to have a battle system? It's like a weird combination of clicker game and an RPG. But it's not a mobile game, so I don't know. What? Untranslated text, I guess we have to step on all these panels? Hello, Darkonia Mall? I have a bad feeling about this. I'll probably play the God of Second for this. Where are the God of Second? Okay. Is that our save points? Yes. Auto-save, that's useful. First game I've seen so far which has auto-save. Next room's boss fight, recommend to save for anything. That's a bit awkward to like warn you twice to save. King Sun looks like a regular slime. Is that just regular slime like in the X8 engine? But it just got bigger and clipped through the scenery. I'm not going to defeat it head on, you can find a way to recover in the fight. Yeah, I don't need that yet. Poop's babies at us, I guess. But we didn't need to find a way to recover in the fight because it's just dropping us many items everywhere. This boss battle is giving us all these more complex mechanics, and yet we don't need any of them because the game is just easy. I feel bad for the programmer who created a whole unique boss battle for this, we didn't need to. Again, it's another one, the difficulty is not like the battle's actually being difficult in any way, it's just they take a long ass fucking time. Teleports over to where it's supposed to die, okay. At least that's a cool sprite, I guess, for a downed slime, but I suppose, I don't know if that's default or custom. I guess every time you beat a boss battle you gain 10 HP. I was not expecting monsters like this in the tower. You weren't expecting slimes? I think I would always be expecting slimes. Okay, so do we have some kind of darkness power? That would be really cool. Are we possessed by a cool demon? Are we possessed by the ghost of that lady who died? Are we possessed by a monster? Are we gaining monster power? It's this again. Ah! Can we like eat the powers of a slime and become slime power? Are we going to gain new skills every time we defeat a boss because we have some kind of whatever the power is? Or is this the power of flashbacks is taking us over? Why is your face so thin? Nia. Okay, also, why have we grown up in age and you haven't at all? Magaletta, sis. Nia, show me your hands. Why? Just give me your hands, okay? Ouch. Look at all the cuts and scars. You must have been secretly working on your sword training again, right? But casting spell. Ugh. It's no consistency. Now it's in brackets and quotation marks. You know that asterisks exist. I can't even pronounce the word in plural and I can still do it better than this. Put an image of Obelix on the screen floating from left to right slowly. The pain is gone. The pain is gone whenever I see Obelix's wonderful face. No more secret sword training, alright? So you're like not supporting us in our dream to be a cool adventurer? I'm not really getting the reason why I care so much about you, except just being told so deeply we care so much about our sister. It was the only happy time in our life. Ooh, our sister, our generically great sister. But yes, if possible, I would love to join sister on a demon hunting. Okay, she's like a fighting exorcist then. Okay, I didn't get her from her design. Yes, Nia? No, nothing, never mind. That's even more weird and hypocritical. You're like, I don't want to train my sister to be as cool and awesome as I am. I guess it's maybe like I want to protect her and not have to live a life I do or something. Hope we're going to get more and more insight into that as we move on. Yeah, wait. Because at the moment it just seems like generic, like, teenage characters, teenage character conflict that like every game always has. It's always like, I, female protagonist, want to be adventurous sword person, but oh my overprotective family member of some kind says no. Ooh. Like, wasn't it also a thing in Arafel? I didn't want to stay in this church alone, doing nothing but wait and pray that Sis Magalita will return safely. Objections will not stop me. I am not giving. Okay, at least we have a good like. You're feeling. You have more fire and confidence than I expected. I sincerely hope, but one day I will be on the side of Sis Magalita, not as someone that requires protection, but also a guardian for Sis Magalita. Another flashback of the past. But why? So okay, so this is actually happening in universe. Is it going to be like Sis Magalita has already died and it's like her spirit or something that's possessing us, or is it going to turn out like, oh, secretly all along we were possessed by the demon that killed our family, and like Sis Magalita knew that, she took us in despite that, and she was like, oh, I will train you even though you've been like predestined to turn into the next demon king or something, and it's happening to us. That's why she didn't want us to train in sword training, because like if we got stronger we would awaken to our demon powers or something. And that's gonna be a tragic ending. It's like we get to the end and we save Sis Magalita, but we turn into a demon. She's like, oh no, I have to slay you in the end, and that's the end. I was randomly throwing it out as an idea. No clue. I guess I will just move on for now. What is this place? It does not seem safe to continue. It does not seem so safe to continue. I keep missing the mistranslations because my brain autocorrects it to logic. Guess I do not have any other choice. Except to walk down a really obnoxiously long hallway. Still going? Okay. This game is just, it's so corridors. It's like literally corridors. This is like exactly what everyone complained that Final Fantasy 13 was, but literally. At least it's unique in its own sense. Like, we're like in infinitely time climbing a tower, it adds to the immersion of the feeling like you're just constantly going through repetitive floors over and over again. But in practice, you are constantly just going through repetitive floors over and over again. It's not necessarily good. A forest? Did I just get teleported out of a tower turning? No, it's going to be that thing where like random floors look like the outside, they look like volcanoes and ice. So, like the thing that basically every magical dungeon does in every game ever, so it's not really much to be surprised about. Anyway, let's take a look around first. Forest of areas. I was supposed to keep gaining SP, but SP hasn't been doing anything yet. SP to gain skills. Acquired fairy cloth, I guess that's for crafting later. We threw grass at it and it somehow flipped the level. That was so unintuitive. You are someone who's also tall like us, but you look like you're in a totally different art style. With like very tiny arms and a very freckly face. An elf? Actually, you look kind of like Ragnarok Online. Ouch. Why is the elf attacking me? It is blocking the path. I cannot go through without evading the arrow. This is the moment I trained for. Take this. Press Q. Okay, we do have skills. Why can't we do that already? Okay. New skill, Thunder Strike learned. Effect 1 receives no damage reflection. What does that mean? Effect 2 deflects some of the raise attacks. Effect 3 chance of critical hit raise restricted. What determines which effect? Is it just a random chance whichever whenever I do it? Skill system effect. Okay, thank you. Let me find out. Why are the elves attacking? Why are the skills this way? Okay, that's what SP does. Okay, there's no explanation why it has 3 different effects or what effect activates the 3 different effects. Does it always do the 3 different effects? At least the combat system is like open a bit more, even if it is just still run into people, and we didn't really need to necessarily use the effect that we told we had to do for these ranged enemies, but we didn't really. We just walked up close and they couldn't do what they're just running attacks. I thought I'm probably just going to use skill as just like an extra powerful attack, that's all it seems to be useful for. Even even though it told us it had more of a purpose. Yeah, there is no need to do. There's no need to do a special attack to dodge games. They literally can't shoot you if you get close enough. At least this game it's going a lot faster and lots of them. We're seeing a lot in the time limit. Okay, so open once you've entered the forest. Okay, I guess we can return back to earlier levels once we've unlocked whatever it is. That's interesting at least to have like arrows popping out from an area you can't reach. Somebody have it. You're the first person so far who's used any kind of default RPG asset, and that's really weird. A fairy. Catchy. Yeah, you're the only human so far which has a default asset, and it's a completely different hairstyle to your overworld asset. I think you're using like it's probably the XP, the overworld sprites, and then the VX Ace like actual talk sprites, but like the upgraded version that was only available in the Restaff pack. That's a really weird contrast of designs, and also custom sprites only for the main character. Phew, thought I was going to become its dinner for sure. Wow, a real fairy. It's tiny and adorable. Looks at the drawing on picture books, but so lively and different. How shall I say hello to a fairy? Man, I am so nervous. At least relatable social anxiety protagonist. Thank you for saving me. You are welcome. She just started a conversation with me. It's like living a dream. Conversations! Are you here looking for eternity as well? Eternity? Into the Tower of Eternity without knowing what eternity is? Are you serious? I just assumed it was the English word eternity, as in it's a very long tower. I have my own reason to be here. And that is, I am here to look for my sister. Searching for sister? I am also looking for our fairy queen. Fairy queen? That's right, fairy queen Malfic. That is one hell of a way to spell something. Her Majesty is a guardian in this forest. And how did she go missing? 3 days ago, all of a sudden a bunch of monsters appeared in the forest. 3 days ago, that was when Sis Magalita... Is it like Sis Magalita turns out to be a demon king or something? There's going to be some kind of twist to the demon king, right? And the dark powers. Monsters assaulted her out any morning and trapped the fairy queen deep in the forest. I'm worried about our fairy queen. Could you please check deep in the forest and look for her majesty? It's very repetitive and like bare minimum. It does really feel like what you get if you were badly translating a game which maybe had more oomph to it. Like in the moments where it does like have our timer is up, but in the moments where it does have like more poetic language and stuff, it does like that could possibly invoke an emotion if it was spelled a bit better. But then like in the regular dialogue, it's just like, I am fairy. Oh, a fairy. I will talk to the fairy. You are a fairy. I am a fairy. Our fairy queen. Our fairy team queen has been captured by monsters. Will you go and defeat the monsters and capture us and get our fairy queen back? I am worried about our fairy queen. She has been captured by the monster. Defeat the monster and get our fairy queen back. Deep in the forest. Yeah, just repeating everything everyone says. I've heard apparently this is a common issue of Japanese translated games where like in Japan it's just like the way sentence structures work is usually to say like yes to someone you will repeat back like the first half of their sentence, but when it's left translated literally it just makes characters keep saying the same thing over and over again. It sounds really weird. It's like Metal Gear! Metal Gear! Perhaps I will find Sis there too. Sure, we'll go check it out. Really? Sure. That is great, thank you so much. By the way, what is your name? Senia. Eternal Senia. As a token of appreciation, I will show you how to craft equipment. Crafting system enabled. Hooray. Try crafting these materials into a fairy armor. Hooray. Okay, we have done that. Nothing else we can craft? Craft a clay ball. Okay, we have done that. We don't really need that because nothing has been challenging so far. Good job, you have just made a fairy armor. Yes, I have. So this crafting seems handy enough. If you find a monster too tough to handle, you definitely try craft. I am not finding the monster too tough to handle. You definitely try crafting equipment upgrades. Like, I am literally bad at action RPG systems. I am finding this too easy. Here, take these materials as well. Thanks, I will continue on my journey. Take care. Be careful on your journey. Yeah, we just... Hello, this is what I'm doing. This is what you were doing. This is what I am doing. Okay, I guess that's why we can go back and run for later on. We can cancel that extra hard boss. Weather effect. What's that? Weather effect off. Weather effect on. Okay, I guess that's just like a random setting that wasn't in the settings menu. Okay, well, we're up for our time and I have no desire to really continue. I guess at least it's easy and quick to go through because the battles just take up no effort whatsoever. But also it's just there's so very little gameplay. At least it was starting to get more gameplay of like that slime boss had multiple attacks and stuff, and then there was a section where like You would have like arrows coming from off screen and stuff, but all of it you could just continue to just run to the enemy with a basic attack and spam it and do nothing and not have to engage with strategies at all. I gotta say, I'm not very interested in story either. It does just kind of seem like, I don't know, kind of like a name of it, something like in Japanese it translates to suffering game or so, which is like a game about the characters go through really, really tough, angsty situations, really, really, really sad. It's usually a female character who's very fragile and low in confidence, and it's like, oh, you want to protect her through all the really, really, really sad torment she goes through. Like, that's the main drive of the plot, but it kind of like, it doesn't really give me a reason to care about it, so like, she's just going through a lot of tough stuff, and she hasn't had much personality so far, except just being a person who goes through a load of tough stuff and is generally scared all the time. I do at least like the contrast, like when it does come up sometimes, the contrast between like how she's very scared and low in confidence, but she's actually really badass. I do like it. If we lead more into that later on, I might be able to like get more attached to her, but I did get my hopes when it started in the flashbacks. It would like give me more reason why she cares about her sister and what's really going on, who she is and everything, but it has just been like suffering, generic bad things are happening to me, generic any reason anyone would care about a generic mentor sister character, I guess. I'm gonna check out how long this is. If it's not too long, I might just continue playing it to like see if it gets better later on. Okay, it says 4 hours. Yeah, I could play this in my own free time and come back and see if it's any good. But for now, I'll go on a Steam page and I'll do on a Steam page. Why is this overwhelmingly positive? Genuinely, why? I assume it must get better on. Okay. Also, we're seeing that in the screenshots have shown like an earlier stage of translation, which is even worse. That's odd. Apparently there's lots of really good, well-drawn CG images and there's a grave. Way to spoil the sister dies, like gee. I believe that gaming should not be anything complicated or difficult, but a relaxing and pleasure experience. Therefore, I designed this ARPG battle system which requires no attack button to play. The simplicity brings a fluid and interesting game experience. Eternal Senia is a realization of this concept. I spent 1 year developing this game. It is a game that can be easily enjoyed by any player. Okay, so I guess it's all purposeful. This game is supposed to be like a very casual game, which is more about the story focus. I get that. Okay, I feel bad for criticizing it if I was on purpose, but I'm not really enjoying the story experience so far, so oh wow. Heroine Senia has both a name and the outlook from Ignazim Senia in Ragnarok I thought those were Ragnarok Online sprites. It is Ragnarok Online sprites. This is a fan game, I guess. That's weird. I didn't realise that. I just see it to be an original game. Maybe I'm not understanding it because it's based more on that game. You have to have knowledge. It says Senia's sister Magalita originated from a foe called Magalita in Lighthousen dungeon. So I guess maybe it is going to be a twist. We get to the end and our sister's been turned into a monster or something, and that's like the origin of that foe. Eternal Senia is a non-profit making game solely based on my enthusiasm for RO and gaming developing, which Eternal Senia can bring up the memory of classic MMORPG of Ragnarok Online to all players who participate. So yeah, it's deliberately made to be like an MMORPG-like experience, so it's a fan game about a character. Okay, neat. I feel bad that I don't really understand these characters or know what's going on there. Oh wow. I'll play more and I'll tell you later on. I am back with unexpected news. This so far has been the only game in the entire marathon that actually did get better after the 30-minute mark. I went off, I played it, I fully completed it, and I actually had a great time. It wasn't the best game I've played, but it was definitely, like, 100% decent. Most, if not all, the things I complained about completely gone as the game goes on. For one, the combat being completely unengaging and automatic, it's on purpose. It actually gets way better. It becomes clear later on the game isn't really about, like, attacking. It's more about, I don't know, like, it's not as extreme as Bullet Hell, but it's definitely got the same kind of vibe as Undertale. It's like, it's all about tactically dodging and finding the right window. As the game goes on more, you have less HP, you deal less damage, you have to spend longer dodging every attack to finally get you to whenever your character automatically finishes off the enemy. There's also boss enemies where it matters more about where you're standing to be able to target them. Like, it's actually really interesting. The only time it uses the default RPGmaker sprites for battles is for boss battles. So like boss battles, you have a completely static giant enemy image on the screen, and you've got to be dodging around, like do really cool inventive attacks to like create the environment around you, summon 1,000 minions and stuff, and you got to target the one spot on their model where they can be hit, and it's really, really good. I especially liked the fairy boss. The difficulty curve is also really well handled. It definitely reminds me of Arafel in that way. There's also ways to optionally make it harder or more easy depending on what you want to go for. It's very customizable. If you do want to go for the casual experience and only go play for the story, you can go for that. Before every boss battle, there's an option to like pick an easier or harder version of the boss. I also really like the optional arcane dungeons. That's when the game first like gets off and starts being great. Is when you first get to the fairy arcane dungeon. I was like, wow. Immediate big like optional difficulty jump. It's an optional area where you can go through. And it's the only place where you can get the upgrade items to get the stronger tiers of all the different equips for each area. I did really like that, how each area has like a set of specific crafting things, and when you move on to the next one, you unlock a bunch of new ones. But anyway, I found it great and challenging. Like, when I was really bored with the combat system being so simple early on, I could jump into the arcane dungeons like, wow, this is like a massive leap, this is like so challenging and so interesting. I had a great time like pushing my limits to be able to get through that early. And then what's great is, like in RFL, it's like an entirely different optional way of handling a difficulty system. You can either like grind normally and slowly, or you can grind fastly but difficultly. You could go into these optional areas, and if you manage to clear them, like despite the huge difficulty, you get bonuses which make the main game easier. I also liked how it wasn't just like instantly, oh, you complete it, now you get the easy reward. It's like every time you complete it, you can get like one equip item over the set, so you still have to repeat the arcane dungeons a bit. Like, it's not like it eliminates grinding immediately, it's just like a different type of grinding. And personally, I like that better. I like it better when grinding goes a bit faster, but it's just a bit more difficult, because I am an impatient bitch. Going more to little bits and bobs that I did and didn't like during my play. First off, there are a few moments where it just like completely breaks the full form of immersion, which I think hits really hard in a game that's supposed to be so super dramatic, when you just randomly have like, hey, Facebook tie-in. Also, this shows off again the problem with the inconsistent sprite art style. It is really funny how everyone who isn't the main character is half your height. Another way it did get better later on is, you know how it was just kind of boring just going through corridors over and over again? The puzzles do like ramp up and get a bit more interesting and unique as you go along. You get a chance to do more stuff. This one I found was really kind of funny. It's like playing whack-a-mole, where you throw these shrubberies at these wasps. I still find it so weird that they didn't just use a sprite of a rock for this. Every shrubbery in the world is apparently the most powerful ballistic weapon imaginable. Also, sadly, the problem with the portraits covering up the text did get even worse later on. I wonder if this is a problem in both versions, or is this just an issue in the English translation? They didn't account for, like, the words might be a bit longer. I did also really like how, whenever you completed any section, you had like a set of rewards for that section. You had 3 NPCs. You have a friendly mimic, a friendly slime, and a friendly sheep monster. I like the friendly monsters. I love them. They're adorable. And they'll give you rewards for how much completion you've done on like the various side quests within that area. I thought that was really neat, and they reward you and gives you incentive to go back and try again. I didn't manage to fully complete all of them, because the one for finding every single chest got unreasonably hard from the second one onwards. On the second one, I found every chest except one chest, and no matter what, I could not find where the last one was. By the time of the third one, I couldn't even find half the chest. Some of them were like deliberately, manipulatively hidden behind like objects and stuff in places where you would have no clue whatsoever they were, unless you just happened to launch an attack in that direction. And I did for one of them at least, but I have no clue what the rest are. Speaking of which, I did find it a bit annoying how some of the optional puzzles were just like, the way to solve them was using one of your battle techniques in the right spot to move forward past an obstacle, and there was no real indication that you could do that. The only one you get told that you can do is the throwing the fairy attack to flip switches far away. But that's like halfway through the game, when you've already gone past like 50 different spots where you were supposed to use all your other attacks. So it was a bit annoying to have to backtrack and then go do all like, and now I have the vague idea it happens. Also, the indicators for the other attacks weren't very useful. It's like, whenever you have to use your Q attack, there's like a slightly lighter spot in the rocks on the floor, and I didn't even recognise that as a thing. And there's just no indicator whatsoever when you have to use the W attack. I didn't find any spots where you end up having to use the R attack, but that's because I assumed that using the R attack would be the key for the bad ending, because the attack you have on R is you get like eternity powers, where like eternity is like the bad, evil, dark energy of the tower that's been corrupting your sister, and the reason why you might not be able to save her, and etc, etc. So I assumed that if I used that, I'd be going on the bad ending, but no, that's not the trigger for the bad ending. The trigger for the bad ending is actually really confusing, and I'll get to that when I get to that. But yeah, I missed out the entire ability just because I got so immersed I didn't want to make the character make the bad choices. And that's a good sign, at least. But I don't know if that was the key to finding the last few treasure chests. One thing I did find a bit odd is I don't think the game is actively going for like incest. I don't know. There wasn't anything that was like completely like that. But there were a few moments where the dialogue, I don't know if it's just like strange choices or mistranslations. The dialogue did seem odd in that sense. If someone told me that this game was indeed supposed to be about these sisters being in love and the translations, like, I would believe you, but I hope it's not, and I hope it's just mistranslations and strange. The one thing that did make me go, was that, like, this can't just be a mistranslation. It's like they have a succubus who pretends to be your sister, and it's like, oh, the lust in your heart is for this. I'm hoping it was supposed to be represented as like, oh, I can tempt you with your greatest desire even if it's not lust, and it was just awkwardly translated. I hope so. There wasn't anything that was too bad, there wasn't anything that ruined the experience. I did still manage to play the game and just like get enough feels for it to manage a regular sibling relationship, so I hope that's what they were going for. Oh yeah, this is kind of a problem is you know how I said about how the game seemed like it was like a suffering game where it's just like everything, all the worst possible things happen to the character. It does get more like that the further you go on, the further you get into her backstory. Her backstory is like every possible bad thing that could ever happen. Like, first, she was an orphan, her family got killed by demons. Second, the lady who adopted her biological sister also died horribly from like a horrible plague that came out of nowhere and killed her. And then even more tragic is originally the only reason she was adopted is as a replacement for that sister, and that sister was named Nia, and that's the reason why the sister Margalita calls her Nia instead of Senia, is she literally just like made her be and act like a replacement for her sister. She does end up developing out of it. I found it good that the older sister also had like a character arc, like she's been making flaws and problems, like, oh, maybe I'm causing my new adoptive sister's self-confidence issues by like pressuring her to be like a replacement for my previous sister, and she's like, I'm wrong, and I've dealt with that, and I'm gonna outright tell you that I see you and I value you as an equal sister, and I'm sorry for what I've done. That was good, that was great, but until we get to that point, it's just the compounding on so much more and more worse things happen. And then after all that, Senia also gets like a curse disease, and Margalita goes to sacrifice herself. It's like, I didn't sacrifice my life to save my sister, and I regret that. I should have sacrificed my life to save my sister. Like, no, staying alive is good, Margalita. And that's also why I got really annoyed about the endings, is they seem to be very hypocritical to that moral. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to the spoiler section. Just know that everything leading up to the ending is like the sad thing. That sad thing was even worse. We're going to recontextualize that sad thing to be even worse than you expected. It does get a bit much, but I did by the end actually genuinely start feeling for the characters. It kind of got to the point where it's like, I'm crying because anyone would cry about this scene because it's really sad, not necessarily because it's very well written. And I wonder if it was better before the translation buggered it up. But even if it was, I think like maybe going so hard might have like dragged it down a little. If we could have a bit more time focusing on the characters and their development, their personality, and like setting up the reasons to care about them before we get into, and then every sad thing possible happened, that's why you should care. I feel maybe feel a little that manipulative. That's what it feels. It feels manipulative. It feels like they're substituting character growth for just a list of bad things that happened. And when they do get the character growth, it's really good, and I do like it. Like I said, I like the contrast of like Senia being like really shy and low confidence with how actually badass she is, but that barely ever gets brought up at all beyond the intro. It just goes so much into Senia going, I'm so worthless, I'm so weak, I'm so worthless and weak, my only defining trait is to save my sister, I have no reason to live except to save my sister doesn't really like me, my sister sees me as only a replacement, I have to be like this. And then like, again, really hypocritical in the endings. Like, you felt, I'll get to that, I'll save it for the spoiler section, but just trust me, it frustrates me. Just the scene of a little sister dying and like old child, she talk about mummy and daddy have come to take me back to heaven and stuff like that, made me cry. And it also made me realize like, wow, this character has no personality whatsoever beyond being generic, like overly pure and innocent child that everyone would cry with. And I feel so manipulated that they're dredging these tears out of me about a character I genuinely don't care about, and that did drag me down a little bit. But the gameplay being so good and great as I was continuing on really did like make up for it. I had more reason to keep going, even though I didn't necessarily care as much about the plot. And even though the things I did care about, Senia gaining self-confidence, ended up not having any payoff whatsoever at the end, alas. This puzzle was the only time that the puzzles in the game like stopped being interesting, just became like annoyingly hard and obtuse. You have to light a certain amount of candles in the right order to unlock different areas. This is not the correct solution. I didn't take a screenshot of the correct solution. That would have been helpful for everybody else. I'm sorry about that. But I couldn't find a single thing in the game which indicated which order you had to put them in, or like anything at all. I did just have to brute force completely clicking over and over and over again all the candles, and it was really annoying because a similar puzzle later on does have like a sound cue to indicate when you've got 3 out of 4 correct and stuff. So I don't know why it didn't happen on this puzzle too. I wonder if maybe it was just an issue with the sound balancing or something, and it was supposed to have that, because otherwise I have no clue how you're supposed to figure this out other than just I will slam every candle over and over for half an hour. Oh, another sad example of the translation didn't ever get better, it just got worse, and then when it got to more serious and dramatic and awesome scenes, the translation being awkward and hard to read really dragged it down. There was another scene where it was like, oh, I'm being taken over by the darkness power, and it's like, don't come near me, but it was translated as don't come over near here, and I'm just like, God, no, I was getting the feels, and then you made me laugh, and it was a bit the sound effect for like someone being taken over darkness was, ooh, oh you, and just nothing but that in the text box, and just... the sound of deep emotional turmoil. So many times the noises of pain or emotion are just like, they sound like cavemen. Frequent miscapitalizations, overly long rambling things saying the same word 5 times over again, really bizarre phrasings, and it really did drag down on moments that you feel would have been really well written in Japanese if only you could see it. And now we will start talking about the spoilery things for the ending. So if you're interested in playing it yourself, it's only 4 or 5 hours long. Feel free to play it. So it's a free game too. If you're interested in what you want to see, have a go for it. And I recommend it. Even if the endings were kind of shit, having them spoiled wouldn't impact your experience whatsoever, because they are kind of just exactly what you would expect from the sadness suffering game. So anyway, spoiler warning, spoilers will be happening from now on. Ooh, turn away, turn back now, if ye wish to seek of the game for yourself. Okay, let's go. So the problem with the endings is every single ending is a bad ending. In the order of difficulty of unlocking them, the first ending is the least bad ending. What the hell? The unlock criteria for the 2 bonus endings, the better endings, the good endings, are just, it's weird. I had literally already gone to the confessional circle, the confessional hall, and done the quest that was supposed to unlock the final 2 endings. I just didn't know that you had to equip the item afterwards, because there's no indication that you have to equip the item to unlock the 2 areas, because the item you unlock is literally an item you had at the start of the game but lost. And it's like a very low level equip accessory. So I just didn't equip it because I had better accessories now. I just thought, oh, that's a cool plot-based thing that we've now got that back. That's nice for Senia. I didn't assume that I had to equip it to unlock a new ending. And then honestly, I wish I hadn't, because those 2 endings were just worse. The first ending, it made me go, oh, that's the reason for the name of the game. That's actually kind of clever, actually. So anyway, the lead up to all 3 of these endings is the big tower can grant you a wish, but everyone falls victim to the corruption of the wish that like corrupts your wish into the worst possible way and stuff. And it's called the Power of Eternity, and it's basically like a synonym for like darkness in Kingdom Hearts or something. It's just the dark magic is called Eternity with a capital E. I did find it kind of funny how everyone was like, Eternity, what does that mean? So I'm assuming it was like eternity in English and katakana in Japanese or something. So by the time you get to the end, you find the sister's like, oh, she's been corrupted by eternity because her wish was to save me from the evil curse that was killing me, and no. So the 3 endings are, 1, you just give up, completely give up, just disregard all of your character development, just give up and just join your sister in being corrupted by eternity and become the final bosses together. That's the best ending. It's portrayed in the structure of the game as the worst ending. It is the best ending with the least amount of suffering for anyone involved. Literally just give the fuck up, make a terrible choice. Because every other ending is one of you dies and gets succumbed and taken over and becomes the final boss of eternity, or both of you do. Honestly, when both of you do, it's the least sad one, and that's just, it's objectively the worst choice, and it's somehow the best ending. The second ending is, again, really unintuitive. I thought I was taking the action with, summed up Senia's character arc, because, again, the character arc, she's all I'm so weak, I'm so pathetic, and I don't deserve anything, I only exist to serve my sister, my sister only sees me as a replacement. Literally, you get to a scene after seeing a scene of the sister being like, no, it was wrong of me to see her as a replacement, I need to tell Senia that she deserves the rights and everything. Senia, you are, someone who doesn't just always have to be protected, you can protect too, and then if you choose to do things that align with that character arc, you get the worst possible ending. In this one, it's one of you can get corrupted by the eternity, but the other one escapes, and the bad choice for the worst one is for you to say, no, sis Magalita, don't sacrifice yourself for me, I'll protect you this time. That's the worst ending. Living up to Senia's character development gives you the worst ending. In that version, you don't even actually rescue your sister Magalita. You get corrupted by the eternity, and then the eternity uses you to kill Magalita. So neither of you escape anyway. It's just a worse version of ending 1 where both of you die, basically. At least in ending 1 you're together as weird ghost boss monsters. So yeah, standing up for yourself, trying to protect your sister, you get the worst possible ending, you get punished for it. The so-called best ending, ending 3, is when you sacrifice your sister and just admit that, like, oh, the entire quest I did to save her is pointless, and I'm just gonna leave her again. I'm just gonna let her, like, again sacrifice herself for me, to protect me, and it's so fucking frustrating. It's the way the ending goes, and like, you have said it, go, no, I am indeed pathetic and useless, I couldn't protect you, oh, and taking back everything, like 5 seconds ago before the boss battle, she was standing up for herself and saying all this positive stuff about herself, and then, like, no, in this, the true ending is like, no, I was wrong, I'm pathetic, oh, once again, my sister has to save me, oh, I can't do anything without you, I can't live without you, and then the ending is like, the sister saved you and, like, kicked you out of the tower, and you literally just have to start the game all over again, and go for a tower again. Senia's just like, I'm not going to give up, I'm going to try and save you again. And it's not even a new game plus where you do replay the tower again, you get a better ending. Instead, it's a big bloody advertisement for the sequel for the game, which would actually resolve the story. Senia's going to just tackle the tower again a second time, but this time have, like, more party members and, like, more plot and stuff, apparently. It is kind of like a weird remake sequel, but canonically happening as a sequel while also being a remake of the same gameplay with more content. So the problem is that sequel is no longer available in Europe. It was for some reason it's made as only as an App Store game, and I can't find, it's not letting me download it in my region when I'm looking, so I don't know if there's any other way to actually get it or play it. So I'm forever blueballed on what the actual resolution to the story is, whether there is actually a happy ending, whether Senia does finally get her character development and get to, like, accept it and stay with it. I don't know. If anyone out there has played Eternal Senia 2 Hydrangea Before the Rain, please tell me, because I'm now, like, really curious to know what the fuck happens. A big massive thank you to Velmond on the Steam community forums, who came in and gave me spoilers of what exactly happens in that game, and I will say, I am satisfied it does have a more conclusive ending. I'm not going to show the spoilers of what actually happened, but there is some kind of happy ending. Not going to go into what it is, but it's achieved at a loss of other things, and it sounds really good. Apparently the battles are way more intense and cool, the gameplay style is different. There is a lot of pain and each act hits like a train. The game is complete, and it's long, and it's very good, and if I could play it someday, that would be nice. Thank you to this lovely person for satisfying my curiosity, so even if I never get to play it, at least I know that there is some kind of good future ahead of these characters. Also, I looked into screenshots of the sequel, and it seems like it's, like, not RPGmaker anymore. It's like a fully unique hand-drawn art style. It's some kind of clicker game. Honestly, to me, that doesn't sound like the battles would be more intense and interesting, but I don't know, I wouldn't have expected a game with no actual controllable combat to be interesting, and the first game proved me wrong. So maybe they've revolutionised clicker games and finally made an actually good one. Also, I do like that little scrungly monster design. Apparently, you can also get a full party of characters, and you can get friendship scenes, some kind of, like, social link mechanics, so it all sounds cool, and again, wish I could play it. So yeah, that's overall my recommendation for the game is play it, enjoy it, but expect to enjoy it for the gameplay and not the ending of the story. Every ending is bad, and the one you have to spend the least effort unlocking is the least bad, and that's just a weird way of handling it. And the true ending is literally just go play another game to get the actual true ending. By the way, this game is no longer available. Ugh! I kind of wish I just hadn't finished, I just left it off, like, halfway when I was still enjoying myself. But overall, it was still much more enjoyable than I expected. It is a solid, okay, if not good-ish game. It definitely goes slightly over the midway mark. It's not great, it's not like one that's really, like, hyper-focused me or anything. It doesn't go in the faves section, but it's surprisingly solid for something that seemed to be kind of iffy when I was playing it, just the first preview. It's the first one that's proven so far that you can't judge a book by the first 30 minutes, as opposed to over 30 games now which I could judge by the 30 minutes. One thing I also found really weird is that the credits aren't even just in untranslated Japanese. They are half in English and half in untranslated Japanese. Just random lines will have been forgotten to have been translated. It's really strange. It's so inconsistent what they do. Some of them are fully translated, some of them they're left in Japanese or translated to the side, some of them are just not translated. This game really had a consistency issue. Like, as I pointed out before, like, the indicator for when a character is thinking or taking action was totally different between text boxes. Also, one thing I did find really nice is, after the ending, the game prompts you. There's like a questionnaire you can fill in about, like, oh, you can give feedback to the developer about what you liked about the game. I did enjoy that. That was also something that happened in Taylor Tales. I haven't had that happen in any other games. I did really enjoy it, and it made me feel like, hey, I'm contributing, I'm helping, mate. But anyway, if you do, you might unlock like a secret developer debug room where a developer just talks about all the choices they made and all the characters. And I found that really interesting. I found it was really nice to like hear what they think about it, what they put into it, what the development process was, and everything. This is my favourite fight against the Fairy Queen's like floral spirit. I also had one of the most interesting devlogs that was talking about how it seems like the enemy placement is random, but they made sure one enemy always appears at the worst possible spot to start the challenge. I thought that was really good. It's a good example of like subtle game design decisions that the player wouldn't even notice. It makes you enjoy it more because you're getting your ass kicked by even more mushrooms. Also funny little anecdotes of things that went wrong during development. I can totally relate to my experience just trying to do the animations for the same scene over and over and over again until your eyes burn out. It's hard to take a pause at that moment because it's like if I go and stop, will I remember what I was doing last time? Like when you have to cycle through like 1,000 different variations, will I remember how far I am down this list of different hue effects? Also lots of random little notes about how different enemies and bosses were inspired by different games. I haven't played any of these games, so I didn't pick up on any of these myself. Cute little message from a developer. I agree, pat. So yeah, there we go. That's my extended additional review. The game ended up being more positive than expected. It also had a bunch more negatives that I didn't even know about, but overall it works out. I generally had a great time and I did not have any like more unenjoyable moments until the ending. It's just the beginning and the ending are bad, everything else in the middle is great. It is a slightly above average game, which in this marathon is incredibly special. We have seen way too much like the best and the worst possible. Something that's just generally competent and great really stands out. I will pop this right there with ORPG. Today we are playing The Ledge. So to give a brief summary of what I know about the game so far, it's going to be trigger warning discussions of suicide and suicidal ideation. That is the premise of the game. You are some sort of guy who is trying to talk down someone who is about to jump off a ledge. And as far as I can tell, there's two endings. There's an ending where you don't save the person, there's an ending where you do save the person. And I don't know how well this is handled, or like if it's going to be like respectful or disrespectful towards the topic of suicide. So I'll edit in if there's any additional trigger warnings after I finish playing. Content warning for this game. Specifically, something I didn't know going in is that it's about a character who does like all the worst possible ways to try and talk someone out of suicide, and is like really flippant and jokey about it. Basically, you're playing as a complete arsehole. And there is a reason for that. The twist ending reveals why. But still, it wasn't what I actually expected in the game. I was hoping for something like actual realistic depictions of suicide and like what actually to do to help someone. But no, instead it's just kind of used as a dramatic plot twist device. You at least don't get the sense that the developer themselves is mocking suicide, it's just the character is meant to be an arsehole. There's also depictions of a toxic relationship in the backstory of this. And at the end, there's a very brief bit of like pixelized blood and death. Originally my video on this game was pretty long, so I got inspired and went into talking about my own experiences of suicide, my own ideas of like how I would like someday for someone to actually do like a good interactive game teaching like what to do to help people with suicidal ideation, like my ideas of how I would have changed things and this and that, and going into my sad backstory and all my personal experiences reflecting my opinion. But I realised how nobody wants to like climb a mountain full of that to get to the actual game, so I've cut that off and I'm going to put it in a separate video now. And so without further ado, let's go into the shortened version of my gameplay. Hooray! This game immediately starts up in a very strange way. First off, I've had a problem with a lot of them before, but they start in like a really tiny window because they weren't compatible with Windows 11. This one has the exact opposite, it starts in a really huge window. It's not even full screen, it's just a really big window on the screen. And I don't know if you can tell in the recording, but the sprites look like really like blurry and pixelated because it's been stretched out so much. I can't figure out how to change this to be at like another resolution. I don't know if it's just like keyed in the engine or if there's some sort of glitch is happening, but it doesn't necessarily look very good, especially with the font being so small and somehow being even more blurry than the rest of the sprite. So yeah, I'm not going to like preemptively judge the whole game as bad because it's having some sort of stretching glitch going on, but I don't know how to fix it, so that's just going to be there now. I'm sorry about that. Also, doubly strange is the game just immediately starts as soon as you load up. There's no title screen, there's no click new game, it just immediately goes straight into a cutscene. So I couldn't match the recording time to catch it all, but basically all you've missed is just the door was animated opening, these guys came out, and they're here on the ledge. But anyway, the game is apparently very short, so we might actually be able to see the whole thing during the 30-minute timer, which is actually quite interesting. I'll try and go for both endings if I can, and if I can't figure out how to save them, I'll look up a guide and I'll find out how to get to show that ending, because that's one thing, on the itch.io page, there's a very brief description, it's just like, trigger warning, suicide, Will you be able to stop this guy from committing suicide? Will you find out the reason why he's committing suicide? And ooh, it's going to be some sort of really dark twist. So, I'm going to go preemptively my theory, just based on the description alone, is the theory is going to be something like, oh, you could stop the guy from committing suicide, and then you... It said, like, then you go to his house and you find out a dark twist. So just from the description of that alone, I was thinking, like, it's going to be like you stop the guy from committing suicide, you go to his house and you find out, like, oh, he was a criminal or something, and then there's a reason for committing suicide. He's actually done really bad stuff, and, like, you accidentally encouraged him to, like, go and continue doing bad stuff. Ooh, it's bad. I don't know, that would just, to me, seem like the most basic and easy twist you could go for something like this, where it is just premise... Stop a guy from committing suicide, then go to his house and find a secret. That would be how it... Either that or it's the opposite. It turns out, like, I have no idea who the protagonist is, except he's just some guy trying to stop him committing suicide. The other idea I would have for, like, a basic-ass twist for this is, like, oh, it turns out the main guy, the protagonist, he was actually the evil criminal all along. Like, you go to the guy's house and you find, like, oh, aha, this is where I did all the crimes and I killed his girlfriend, ooh, and I tricked him into thinking it wasn't me by, like, basically, like, you weren't really trying to make him stop committing suicide, you were just trying to cover your tracks or something like that. And it's like, oh, now our evil protagonist is getting away with it, oh, and it's all because of you. Basically, I preemptively expect, like, the twist to be something like, oh, you regret doing the good thing and stopping guy from committing suicide, because when you hear, like, if you stop and commit suicide, there's a dark twist, that's where it's probably going to go. I hope it's not going to be that, because that would just seem to be a really, really shitty message, to be honest. Like, not intentionally or anything, but, like, that would just seem to be a really shitty message to, like, literally create a game where stopping a guy from committing suicide is a bad thing. I'm going to go into this with open mind. I'm going to hope it's going to be, like, any kind of, like, realistic depiction of suicide, like, actually, like, thoughtful, but that's the reason why I want to play with this, because sadly there are a lot of RPGmaker games which are, like, so specifically Western RPGmaker games that's like, we're going to use RPGmaker to make a non-RPG, like a non-traditional fantasy RPG, and very often they're like, we will go for the darkest possible concept, and we will have, like, the most cynical, like hopeless resolution to it, and that somehow makes us deep and, like, I guess different from Japanese RPG games. It's a bit strange. There's a lot of those that seem to be very, very bad. I hope this game is not going to be one of those, but if it is, I'm just preemptively warning myself, I guess. I'm going to try and not get too invested. But I am, fingers crossed, hoping this is actually just going to be, like, an actual genuinely deep and, like, meaningful thing that leaves me coming off it with, like, great thoughts about life and, like, the meaning of life and, like, optimistic rather than super depressed. Fingers crossed. Because, I mean, like, as someone who in the past has struggled with suicidal ideation and still, like, to this day has trouble with it sometimes, I might be a bit more harsh on it, not handling it well if that happens, because it's a bit personal to me. But I'm going to try and be as fair and unbiased as I can. Also, one interesting thing to say up is, this particular sprite style here is an RPGmaker asset pack which I really like, and in the past, when I was young, when I was trying to make an RPGmaker, there are so many times I've tried to make an RPGmaker game and I failed, so I just gotta say that's why I try not to be... Obviously, some of these games I've played in RPGmaker Roulette have been bad, but I'm trying not to be too overly judgmental, because I know how difficult it is to make an RPGmaker game. I've had plenty of attempts that have totally failed, and I've never successfully finished one to this day. But anyway, this pack here is the Pop Horror City pack by, I think at the time their username was Vexed Enigma, now it's Malibu Derby. It's a really good and solid asset pack. It's a really unique and different style from the default of RPG Maker. It fills the niche of, like, being a modern set. Like, it was originally created for zombie-related games, but a lot of people use it for just, like, any modern RPG Maker games in general. It's really good, and you could have, like, a pre-made asset pack, and, like, if you don't know how to make art yourself, you can go and you can make your game still look unique and distinctive, because it's, like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a lesser used one, but it's, like, it's a more creative one which is used more creatively, if that makes any sense. There are still, like with any RPG Maker asset pack, there are going to be some people who make bad games, there are going to be some people who make good games. There are some bad games which use this. I can't automatically judge this game as being good just because it has it, but I have nostalgic feeling for it. I like it, it's good. It's impressive. It has, like, body variety. As you can see here, you got, like, a chubby and a skinny model that comes with it. There's, like, all sorts of stuff. It's a very big and fleshed out pack with a lot of different resources. Back at the time when it was trending, these weren't available, so not a lot of RPG Maker games use them. But at the moment, now there's like side view battlers. There's, like, a portrait set. There's a fully illustrated, like, bust up, like, side things. Like, there's, like, and the person who makes it has made, like, resources for tabletop RPGs, and then, like, loads of other stuff. Really great person, really check out their stuff, awesome. I love it way better than the default RPGmaker set, at least. I've already talked about it in other videos, but VX8 and onwards, the sprites have just become really terrible in the default sets. They go for detail over any kind of stylization. It's a bit strange. This one here, great mix, detailed, complex, and also stylized and cute, and variety of it. Anyway, default cool man with goatee from this particular sprite pack says over there. I'm not sure which of these two is the protagonist. I'm just going to guess it's going to be the younger one because usually is how these things tend to work out. But if we're playing as a grandpa, that'd be cool. Over there, that is the man on the ledge. Are we playing as a grandpa? We're walking slowly. There is also no music as far as I can tell. Oh my god, that's such a cute grandpa face. I hope this guy's going to be our protagonist because he looks adorable as fuck. What are you doing out there? I'm going to jump. You didn't look like that when I was looking you from the front. I didn't think you had like such a long beard. That seems to be custom sprite work. That's a really good like dramatic wind on the beard. I like that. So far they're doing really good with the asset packs. One more thing that's on the game page, which also I should mention too, is that this game says it is not in any way a constructive guide on how to actually talk someone down from a ledge. It is purely for drama, and things here might play out in a more Hollywood-style type of way, and likely it will, since it says always a big twist at the end, and like, yeah. So don't take this as like how to actually react to somebody who is in a suicidal situation. Definitely like call for help and like try and be as empathetic as possible, and yeah. I'm going to jump. Who are you? What's your name? Carl Adams, and the reason I'm doing this does not concern you. It's the big twist of the game! Think what you're doing, man! I've thought about it. Now go away and leave me alone. It's our protagonist actually the grandpa. That's good. That's good. I hope he's an empathetic and good grandpa. Can't you? If you come any closer, so help me, I'll jump. Can't you tell us your problem? No. How can we help you then? You can't. Go away. I'm trying to walk. Okay. Dramatic pause. Continue dramatic pause. I can't move. It's a very slow cutscene. Oh, don't just stand there. Call the police. But you didn't do that before running up to him? Okay, random realistic person. It had a nice introductory cutscene. I like how now we're getting the music coming in, and it's like fully animated and good. It's got a little bit of artificial things. It's like a bit more stretched than the rest. It's clearly a recorded video, but I like how it's showing so many animations and again showing how great the sprite pack is and everything. These are all like default characters and assets from the sprite pack, and I did a really good job of animating them there. Especially this one, like padding up like that. That's really cool. Oh, that is really great having appear on the logo, and the logo to be the building. That's really good. I like the production values in this. They definitely went above and beyond like just grabbing a default sprite pack they've got and they've made their own good custom assets for this. Thank goodness you're here, follow me. Oh, is this going to be our protagonist? Okay, that was weird. None of the people in the introductory cutscene were our protagonists. That's a bloody shame. I liked them. Now instead we're boring white man. No offense to boring white men, but like those two had like interesting designs. We had like one of my favorite ones of the default custom. I like the Mohawk one. Honestly, the one right next to it is like better, but like that's one of my favorite of the default designs was the beard man, and then we had like a nice custom grandpa, and now we just got default policeman. Can I help you, officer? Just wanted to make sure I got the controls right. Haha. Meta jokes. Maybe it's not the best place to put them in a serious game about suicide. Like we don't want to break the immersion immediately by having a random lady on the street tell us how to use the arrow keys. Yeah, that's what I'm here for, baby. Okay, our guy is our guy not a good guy? Is it going to be a situation of like a terrible guy goes and fucks it up and like, I hope not. Did you really just call me baby? Baby. Okay, he's a double bad guy because he's hitting on a woman and after she says no, he's doing it anyway and making a joke of it. I immediately don't like our protagonist. I'm going to go and rescue this guy. I also don't like a game trying to add comic relief into a suicide plot. My opinion has gone up and down and plummeted again. So man up there, yeah, this is one of my favourite default designs. I really love the appeal, like the mohawk and then the shaved head, and like, oh, it's really cool. Like really like vibrant colours and just cool and badass. And like also just the idea of the fact it's a default pack that's supposed to be intended for zombie things. Being a zombie fighting guy with a mohawk in a wasteland is like inherently amazing. There's a man up there on the ledge. Yes, there is. Okay, it says hold down shift to run. It's not letting me do it. So maybe this cutscene is like dramatically forcing me to pause. It looks like he might jump. Please help. Your sprite does not match your overworld sprite. Your hair color is totally different. Also, they definitely made a custom sprite for that child because there is no default child sprite in the pack. I know because when I was using it for my own game, the reason I ended up quitting that game because it was so much work. I had like a child protagonist. I had to edit all the sprites down to make a child version of the base. It's definitely not letting me run. So why didn't it tell me I could run? I want to talk to these guys to see all the information. Wow, this is crazy. Understatement of the year. Your sprite also does not match your portrait. There is a version of this portrait which doesn't have the hat. That's just included in the pack. You could have just used the one without the hat and recolored it. Is something wrong? Yes. I don't have your I don't like this protagonist. I'm losing all faith in this game rapidly. Really don't mix like comic relief flirty guy with very serious subject. See, even when I picked the nice option to not keep pressuring her to like leave her boyfriend, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get you for not having a dog on a leash. Oh, I'm abusing my police I fucking hate this protagonist immediately so much. I've never hated a protagonist like this much since like bloody like that Crew Elise game, which started off with you murdering a random homeless person. I seriously think games should like either have a protagonist that you actually give a shit about and want to play, or if they're a character who's deliberately bad, like have some sort of incentive why you want to play him anyway, like the game itself is interesting, or like you want to see him get the comeuppance or whatever. His name's Carl, so he's pretty distressed. I can imagine. Have you dealt with this sort of thing before? Me personally, I've not dealt with having to talk around somebody else who is suicidal. I've dealt with my friends talking about being suicidal, but like not being personally there, like trying to stop an attempt. Me, myself, I have dealt with it happening to me, so I guess I can, from that perspective, I can say yes. Yeah, she was just a cry. No, it's not. Losing more favour in this game with every second it decided to give us the worst and most unempathetic protagonist in the universe. Usually, how can you tell if it's changed? I have literally never in my entire life seen a single case of a fake suicide attempt. I know they hypothetically exist, but in a situation like this where someone's about to jump off the roof, I don't think it's very likely it's going to be fake, mister. Fucking hell. By talking, I guess? There's no answer for that. Oh well. Get him talking, get him to open up, and you might find he's simply lonely, just wanting someone to lay out his problems to. That's kind of what I'm talking about, is like, yeah, it could be, there is a different serious problem. Also, I've noticed that the spacing for the text is very similar. I think that this might actually be a resolution error that is causing the text to be so small and weirdly blurry, because it's taking up like literally half of a text box, and I'm not sure what's going on here. Like, you would think the line break would not be there. Not to you maybe, there's something about a figure of authority that helps people open up. Don't you misuse that authority, don't you go making your stupid jokes up there, man, don't go hitting on this guy. By the way, you got any spirit stamps? Oh, he has one line of being reasonable and I'm back to hating. That's my tip to the creators of this. Should have maybe been a bit more descriptive in the description of the game, rather than just going, this game will not accurately represent how to stop someone from committing suicide. Maybe just like go up and say like you are playing as like a hard-boiled arsehole cop, and like the difficulty of the game is trying to get this guy who's like inherently an arsehole to actually do the right thing. Give people the right impression going in. Or just like, this game is a dark comedy, something like that. Spirits, I got some turpentine. Yeah, fucking poison him, he deserves it. I mean something to drink. Like, why can't I play this like his first instinct was like, oh, do you mean spirits to like disinfect a wound if he gets hurt or something? Like, can we be inside this man's brain, please? He's taking this seriously. I'm taking this seriously. Can we be him? I mean something to drink. Officer, I run a very tight ship here. Yeah, bring me that little hippie of bourbon I know you got stashed in your utility closet. Aye, this seems... It's not for me, you ass. That fella up there might need... Okay, I misjudged you. Running up it was just a very bad way of introducing it. Okay, genuinely okay. I don't know necessarily if it is a wise or smart thing to do to get someone drunk when they're precariously on a ledge, but if the point is like, oh, I'm going to present this guy with something to like try and cheer him up, calm him down, makes sense, but also like, we don't really want to add something that messes up someone's depth perception to being on top of a building. I'll see what I can find. I hope he wasn't just lying in order to like get the beer, because that would suck if he was like, oh, I need to use it to save his life. And then he's just lying, and he's like, no, I just want to get fucking crunked. Can we inspect anything around here? Is there any chance like finding something which could help us? I'm assuming it's not in the time limit we need to jump if we don't do it. I'm taking this seriously. I want to try and find everything that could possibly help, but no. The very slow padding of the camera too is making me kind of seasick. Be careful. If there was anything we could find down there, I've missed it. Like I said, I'll try this, I'll try and go for like the good ending if I can, and if I can't, then I'll look up a guide. Because I want to see it. I want to see what the mysterious dark twist is. I don't want to see the ending where he just kills himself, but to be honest, like, I don't want to see that. If I see that because I fucked up, then yeah. But I'm not going to go out my way to search it if I don't. That's close enough. Hiya, Carl. What do you want? Call me from down the road. Said there's a guy up here threatening to take a dive. You're not really going to jump. I get that you're trying to like act friendly to try and calm me down. That's not helping. That's not the good type of friendly. That's the I don't give a shit if you die type of friendly. Yes. Even our dialogue options, like why is our dialogue options are telling him to his face you think he's faking? No. Okay, well I don't want to get in your way. No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said okay, as in I don't want to tell him I think he's faking to his face. Not that, oh, I want to let him die. When games deliberately give you dialogue options which say the exact opposite of what the dialogue options said in the menu, it just pisses me off. It got like the bloody Wolf Among Us glass him situation, but it's like throwing off the fucking roof. I don't want to just watch. Exactly, me, my face, me. Except my hair is less majestic in the wind. Whatever. If you want to have a civilized conversation, come out on the ledge. There's a ladder over the other side. If you keep sneaking up behind the swell. Okay, where is the ladder? That's weird. Okay, you have to go on the other side. I thought he meant like to the side of him. That's a bit of an unintuitive map design. But unlike other RPG makers with unintuitive maps, it doesn't really matter necessarily because I'm not actually going out here trying to like find a million secrets and bosses and stuff. So, why are you jumping? It's my nature to do spectacular things. Okay, in this situation, I want to say you're lying because, like, the guy's just like, oh, I'm just out here for having fun to jump off this fucking building. It's like, what's going on? I don't want to say nice, yeah, jump off the fucking building. There is no good dialogue options for this man. Sounds like you're hiding a bit of hurt behind that joking exterior. Okay, thank you. Really, every time I select something, it's the opposite of what I expect. I select the bad thing, he says a good thing. Oh, thank goodness the doctor's here. You're going to help me process my feelings, help me realise I actually do want to live. Why is he being so fucking aggro and like, oh, I hate people who want to help me live? What? Something like that? Are you married? What? Odd question. And technically when she's not around, hit the wrong nail on the wrong head. This man is just a hammer in human form and every problem looks like a nail. How long have you been separate? Don't give him a follow-up question to that. Like, that's the point where you go, oh, I fucked up, let's talk about something else. As of yesterday. You've literally blundered into the exact reason he wants to die. Congratulations, man. Yesterday? Yeah, I left the house in the morning. Oh, that's cool that we get to play as him in this section at least. I'm heading off now, me and my slightly more combed beard. Okay. Took a moment to look at the bookshelf, something inside me not wanting to leave. That's at least a good bit of it. So I'm going. Goodbye then. He used to kiss me goodbye. What do you want me to say? I don't know, I don't know what I can do. Only one thing I want, I've told you. I can't, not that, I love you. Okay, what is it? Is it like, I want a divorce, I'm not going to give you a divorce, okay, get out of my house then or something? Or is it going to be like, oh, I want a baby, you don't want a baby, and that's what we're arguing about or something? If you love me, you would give me the divorce. Okay, yeah. It's never going to happen. Okay, and then that's fucked up. That is genuinely fucked up. Like, one day you're going to come home and I won't be here. Procrastinating, I went to the toilet. I'm just imagining he gave himself a swirly. Okay, there is nothing is being gained from doing this. I'm just going to go walk into the inevitable everything. So if it was something I had to do in this stage to stop him committing a suicide, I'll look at the guide later. I felt uneasy at work all day. And then when I came home, she had left because, like, what the fuck did you do? She literally said outright to you, if you don't let me have a divorce, I'm just going to run away and leave you. Like, what the fuck do you expect, sir? What the fuck do you expect, sir? That night when I came home to the house, oh, don't gonna be like, she committed suicide because I wouldn't let her leave. That's gonna be even more fucked up. Honey? Honey, I'm home and fucked up. I'm not gonna go in the bathroom, because what if she's like dead in the bathtub? What if she's dead in the room? Yeah, oh, fucking hell. Oh no, the consequences of my own fucking actions. Our guy who's committing suicide is first off super aggro and aggressive and mean to you, and also you, the protagonist, can only be mean to him. He's playing an inherently mean guy, and then his reason for committing suicide is because he forced someone else to commit suicide by trying to force her to stay in a loveless marriage, and like, let's progress the game. Oh no, my pants slightly changed colour in this cutscene. That error at least kind of like lightened the mood. She wasn't breathing, scattered pills lay nearby, my hands began shaking, my world split open, and it was all my entire fucking fault because I was a horrible, controlling boyfriend. When I came to my senses, I began to look around for a suicide note. I wasted time in the bedroom, I knew a note would be somewhere else. How? How did you know that? There's a note composed on the screen. It says, I don't know why I'm writing you this. Because the plot requires me to. I guess there's a part of me still that wants to be good to you, not out of love, no, just pity. Okay, I respect this lady a lot. Even she's like, you're a fuckhead. Even in her darkest moment. By now, I'm sure you know about. Okay, I am getting less and less respect for this game by the sentence. It's like, okay, now we're going to reveal. Oh, by the way, the wife was also awful, and this guy actually is sympathetic. Like, his awful, shitty reaction was somehow justified because he just knew she was cheating and she was bad. Everyone here is abusive. Everyone here is abusive. No one is sympathetic. The protagonist is not sympathetic. The only person I care about is that fucking grandpa. Go back to the grandpa. I know you saw us that night at the cabaret. He didn't see you, but I did. You're an intelligent man. You would have seen that what I felt for Steve was real. Ooh. Here's my manifesto where I prove that, like, you weren't at fault for my suicide, even though everything in the previous scene pointed out that you were. This is not going to be revealed at the end, and the protagonist is Steve, and that's why he, like, pushed this guy to commit suicide to, like, oh, I'm getting rid of the evidence or something. I'm calling it now, that's going to be the fucking twist. It's going to be at the end, it's like, oh, I'm so glad that you saved that guy, Officer Steve. Dun dun dun, credits roll. If so, like, I literally called that being the most predictable thing that could happen. I hope it's not going to be that. He said he would go away with me. I was supposed to meet him today at the train. I waited at the station for... Okay! I waited at the station for hours. I got a message. He wasn't coming. Ever. Steve had lied to me. It's too much. I'm done. Goodbye. Poor fucking lady. Like, even if she was genuinely an arsehole cheater, like, she wasn't much of an arsehole as Steve. At worst, we've got everyone here as an arsehole, one of them is slightly less of an arsehole. I walked the streets until early morning. And then I got up on a building and tried to kill myself, and then Steve came out to try and get rid of the evidence. I'm so convinced that's going to be a twist. I really hope that they ruin my expectation, they do something better. Because that's the thing, is that is the most base, oh, you never expect it twist. I would expect it because it is just the furthest away from what you would naturally, logically expect from a sympathetic story. And we end up in this neighborhood, I knew exactly what I had to do, because why specifically this neighborhood? Is it going to be like, oh, this neighborhood is where Steve... That would be a good version of doing the twist. So, I've realized you're Steve, I'm going to take you down with me. That would be a good twist, I want that. I want that because I fucking hate our protagonist so much. If it ends like him getting thrown off the building and this guy surviving, I want that. But not if he gets blamed for the crime and sent to prison or something, that would suck. It's like, hey, you literally killed my wife. You don't deserve to be fucked. Also, if this game's making a commentary on how, like, bad people get into, like, the position of being a cop so they can get away with it and they can, like, abuse their power, then that would be a good plot and I would respect it a lot more for that. When I up in this neighborhood, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I went home and called my lawyer. Oh, okay. Settle all your affairs. It's basically like, I found out who Steve is. I found out it's you. And that's why I came here, because I know that you make your rounds here. And you're Steve, and I'm going to get you. And I came back here. I entered several buildings until I found one with roof access. That's some story. You're the only one who knows. I'm not your only audience now. It's chaos down there. I just realised the mouse has been slightly in the corner. I don't know if it picks up on the recording. I'm sorry about that. Oh, cool! They used the additional pack. They had like a service workers sprite pack. They had like nurses and firemen. That's a really good use of it. Also, it's really good that the creator of this sprite asset pack like made a really useful pack like that. You don't often really get that kind of representation of like firemen, police, and etc. But you do often get police in like RPGmaker and everything. But like you don't often get like, here he's an accurate fireman. Oh, I like that because of that. Like so many like cheap, badly made RPGmaker zombie games have like heroic firemen in them. Like firemen, I respect them way more than cops. There is much less corruption in firemen. They'll be getting out of net shortly. Fat lot of good that'll do, 26 stories up. And ladders can't make it up as far either. The manager's probably called others by now too. Like who? A doctor? A priest? Why would you call a priest? Even if you do get a good priest with empathetic, they are not trained to deal with this situation. A doctor might be. Great, so I can be locked up in the... No! That's not what I said. Why is the game literally making all my dialogue choices not what I actually said? One thing I do know is that you're doing me a favour. Is it going to be like, oh, by the way, I'm Steve! Ooh! How's that? Well, normally I'd be down there directing traffic. Because of you, I'm up here taking it easy. No, our protagonist is just a complete fucking arsehole. Might just as well be up here. That traffic isn't moving anyway. Haha, that's right. There's people down there expecting you to jump. They're looking forward. This could be literally given to you as like a manual of how not to prevent suicide. He is doing every possible thing wrong. And the only consolation is I think he's meant to be an arsehole because I'm thinking he's going to be the surprise villain in the end. Sure, they've made up their minds and you're going to jump and they want to see it. You can't hear them up here, but they're yelling at you. Yelling what? Oh, you're a fucking arsehole. They don't want you to jump. You don't know the pain. Exactly, they have no idea. None. So tell them. Tell them? They care about you. Okay. Finally, our protagonist said anything good. Anything good ever. They care about you. Even though you're a stranger, there are people down there who want your help, who want to listen. So just come down with me and talk to them. Maybe you're right. Okay, use of anime sweat drop emoji is really not good in that situation. I get that maybe it's supposed to represent a tear rather than like they didn't put it in the right place to be a tear. It just looks like funny anime sweat dropping. This game has a little bit of a tone issue. I don't know if it's intentional or not. Careful, careful. What's the matter? Guess I'm a bit dizzy. Maybe you're going to give me a hand. I am 99% sure this is going to go to, and I've realised you're Steve, and I'm going to knock you off instead of me. That would be how I would make a good twist. I was saying, if a twist is just like, oh, the suicidal man was bad and it was good all along, that would be a bad twist. A good twist would be, our protagonist is being such a shit man and doing a bad job stopping this man committing suicide because he is actually the criminal who caused it all. And he gets revenge. That would be a genuinely good ending. I'm on the edge of my seat, fingers crossed. This is the music of I realise you're Steve. I knew it'd come up eventually. That's why I chose this place! Yes! Thank you! You pulled it out in the final second, thank you! I'm so glad it was not the predictable bad twist. Well, it was one of the twists I predicted in the beginning, but it was delivered in a really good way where it's actually cathartic. The guy is getting revenge. Like, they somehow managed to take a twist that usually would just feel like exploitative and bad and like disrespectful for the suicidal man. They actually turn it into like a moment of revenge and catharsis for the suicidal man. But it still does suck that he might end up getting sent to prison for doing this, even though objectively he's like, you're punishing a guy who like has specifically evaded the law for killing your wife and just, oh, that's why I chose this place. What? My name isn't Adam, Steve. Karen was my wife. Yeah! I can't believe I'm cheering for a big bloody explosion. Fuck you, Steve. Though it does kind of mute it a little, like it happened right after Steve actually said his first empathetic and good thing of the entire game. I do feel like maybe it should have been up to the player's choice whether you were Steve or not. Like, if you made the good choices and you actually were kind and empathetic to him, then it would turn out you weren't Steve and you get a happy ending. Versus, if you did take all those awful fucking comedy options, then, like, you've proven you're a shitlord and you're Steve. Because it does feel kind of bad that I'm being punished for deliberately trying to avoid acting like Steve, but oh well. And, okay, the game isn't going to an ending screen, it isn't stopping. So I guess that's a little bit of bad programming there. Okay, we're starting off again, okay. For a second I thought it was a very long pause, I guess. I thought it was just like quit to desktop or something. Like that is like a pet peeve. I dislike that happened in older games where it's just like, I can only find a bottle of scotch. Oh no, poor grandpa! Oh shit. Okay, well I guess it's time for the... Again, it's a bit of a strange mix of comedy and yeah. This game was based on a short story called Man with a Problem by Donald Honig. Oh, that's good, it's an adaptation. I hope this isn't bad. I'm presuming probably the original story handled it better and with less, like, fourth wall breaking strangeness. Program and music were made by James McFay using the RPGmaker MV. Art was modified from Vex Enigma's pop hop using voice by Buford, and this game was funded by Ribbons F. Plugins were used from Yanfly, Orange, Terex, Yami, MJSHI, not sure how to pronounce that, Soulpaw 777. Oh, he does good stuff. At least I think, I'm not sure if that's a he or a she, but I've definitely seen that name before. Nelderson, Galv, I requested a plugin from him way back when I was first learning how to do RPGmaker. That's a really nostalgic name. He's really cool. If you, the Visual Novel Choices plugin, that was originally requested by me, Bunny89, back on RPGmaker net forums, before I ended up getting over them because I got bullied really badly by some shitheads, because I was young and stupid, I didn't write right, and they all just made fun of me, and like, you know how it is. But yeah, lots of great plugin makers there. He was not involved in any of that. He was just a great guy who was asking for plugin requests, and he did a great one. He did this great plugin for free, and I love that. And it's been continually ported to later versions of RPGmaker. You can use it now on the later games. I just feel honoured that I was able to help in some way by suggesting a plugin. It's great. And Solarian help came from Vex, Enigma, and Vince. Oh, that's cool. So they directly talked with the maker of the asset pack. That's so cool. Sound effects were used from Syndicate, BBC Audio. Oh, BBC Audio. Okay, I guess it's all new. Iberia, Runa, and 8DO. Emotional support was provided by Ryan Apple. That's good to know that they have honestly, making a game that handles a very tough subject. You've got to have someone there in your corner to help you out. That's good to hear. As a final note, we treat the topic of suicide lightly here for the purpose of anything. I'm glad the game is aware of what's going on. They're generally pointing it out. That's really good. As a final note, we've treated the topic of suicide lightly here for the purposes of an entertaining story. But please, if you're ever feeling sad enough to jump, reach out to someone. Even strangers can have the most wonderful love that they're just waiting to give you. Thank you. I am more validated in seeing this grandpa is literally the only nice person in the entire fucking game. And he's the voice of the developer. That makes so much sense. Developer, you're a good person. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I've got grumpy talking about your game. There are many free phone call services out there if you want to talk to someone you don't know. Please always remember, you're not alone. Ever. Email wearebufort@gmail.com, web bufort.asia. I'm assuming that's the name of either the developer or the company making this, or if that might be the name of the hotline, I wasn't quite sure. Well, there we are. I'm probably not going to go and look at the other endings. I'm assuming the other ending is just he jumps and the evil arsehole Steve gets away with it. And that would probably be too depressing of me. But yeah, if you want to go out and see the other ending yourself, pick up a ledge. It's literally 10 minutes. You can play it much faster than I did. I'm leaving this with much more positive impression than I did at the start. I'm glad it went for the most impressive and interesting way of handling that twist. Anyway, overall rating, it delivered what it wanted to deliver, which was not an actual accurate or remotely good story about suicide, but was a dramatic game about, this is a villain, Steve, and we kicked his ass. And I was very satisfied and happy with that ending. I'm sad that the guy had to die to take Steve down with him, but fuck you, Steve. And I'm glad that the player character being such an immediate and awful arsehole was on purpose, and I take back all the ways I thought that they're making light of suicide by making the main character be awful. He was given the wrong and worst advice on suicide for a purpose to foreshadow that he's a big fuckface. Great, good, thumbs up. Probably will never play it again. Shouldn't have really played this as someone who gets upset about this because I've had personal experience with it, but for what it is, if you go in knowing what it is, it's a good, enjoyable experience and a good, satisfying revenge story. Probably one of the most satisfying endings I've had for any of these RPG makers I've played so far. Genuinely made me go, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm so glad I figured this out. Great, wonderful, thumbs up.